brahmarpanam, brahmagnau, brahmana hutam, brahmaiva tena gantavyaà, brahma-karma-samädhinä. This verse we had been discussing about the sacrifice, and there are different types of sacrifice recommended according to the different classes of men. There are generally three classes of human beings: those who are under the influence of the modes of goodness, and those who are under the modes of passion, and those who are under the modes of ignorance. The whole Vedic scriptures, they are also divided into three divisions according to these modes of material nature. There are 18 Puranas. Puranas means supplementary to the Vedas. The Vedas, they are written in a very difficult language. But in order to explain them to the ordinary person, there are Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana. Vedic principle is described according to these modes of material nature. There are 18 Puranas. Out of that, 6 Puranas are in the modes of goodness, and the 6 Puranas are in the modes of passion, and 6 Puranas are in the modes of ignorance. So, there are different varieties of sacrifices according to the different class of men. The whole idea of Vedic literature is to give chance to every human being to develop a spiritual consciousness under certain rules and regulations. So, what is applicable to the persons who are in the modes of ignorance, they are not applicable to the persons who are in the modes of goodness. Or those who are in the modes of passion, they are not applicable to the modes of goodness. The gradual process of evolution. Now, just like there are recommendations of animal sacrifice, and what is that? That is a sort of restriction to the animal eaters. Indirectly, it is restriction, but it is sanctioned also as sacrifice in the Vedas. Just like the Vedic principle says that if you want to eat flesh, don't eat flesh which is not offered in the sacrifice. Now, those who have been in India, perhaps you have seen the goddess Kali, a goat sacrifices. But the Vedic principle says that if you want to take flesh, then you must sacrifice the goat before the goddess Kali, and then you can take. And that prescription is also very difficult, because on the dark moon night, goat has to be sacrificed, and there are so many paraphernalia, and the mantra, the hymns chanted there, the goat is, and to whisper within the ear that the man who is sacrificing you, he will be responsible for your life, and for yourself you are going to get the next life as human being without waiting for the evolutionary process. The animals, that there is an evolutionary process that is accepted in Darwin's theory also, anthropology, yes. There is evolutionary process, so that is accepted in the Vedic literature also. So, the animal which is sacrificed, he gets immediately his evolutionary process developed and promoted from animal life to human life. But the man who is offering that sacrifice, he becomes the responsible. Therefore, there are so many hymns in the Vedic literature. The whole idea is that by offering such sacrifices, man is restricted from blessing. Similarly, there are many kinds of sacrifices. They are described here, but I give you the idea. Devameva pare jagnang yogina phalipasate brahmagnau pare jagnang jagge naiva upajuhat sutrādīni indriyāni anne samjavāgnesu juhati sabdādīni viṣānanna indriyāgnesu juhati jagadāna tapakriya natājyam kartamam. This is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that Jagga, sacrifice, charity, dana, Jagga, dana and tapa. Tapa means penance. There are 4 divisions of human and society according to Vedic literature. The brahmachari, the grihastha, the vanaprastha and the sannyasi. The brahmachari means the student life, more or less, student life. And grihastha means those who are leading family life after the student. And vanaprastha means retired life. And the sannyas means renounced also. They have no connection with worldly activity. So these are 4 different stages of human social order. Now, the brahmachari, they are meant for sacrifice. The students are recommended to sacrifice, especially to sacrifice sense gratification. The students they were in the Guru Griha, spiritual master's place, and they had to undergo severe types of regulations. So, the brahmachari is expected to go to every householder and beg. There was no system of schooling, there was no system for payment. The spiritual master, the teacher, he did not accept any payment in pounds and in francs. That was not accepted. Because mostly the Brahmins, they used to become the teacher. So, they were not accepting any salary. The Brahmins are forbidden to accept any service. So, the education was free. To every student, education was free. And village to village, education was so. In former days, even 50 years before, I have seen in villages, there were some small school, and all the village boys, they were coming and they were taking education. So education was very much widespread because education was free in this way. So students were meant to go for begging alms for the teacher. These are some of the regulated principles. Now, that is sacrifice. They sacrifice their labor for the spiritual master, for the teacher. And whatever they got, they surrendered to the teacher. And it is said that after cooking, if the teacher asks the student, "My dear boy, you come and take your meals," then he will take. Otherwise, if the teacher forgets to call him one day for his meals, then he should not go and ask the teacher that, "Sir, I am not taking my food, give me my food." Rather, he should starve. So much penances, so much. These are called sacrifice. So student life is meant for sacrifice. They should undergo a training under severe regulations and penances so that life may be built up for future hope and future spiritual realization. That's the sacrifice is meant for the student life. Similarly, the family life, those who are Jagga Dana. Dana means charity. The Grihastha, those who are living in family life with wife and children, they are expected to give in charity as much as possible. That is also sacrifice. Suppose you are earning $1,000 in a month. So according to Vedic instruction, you should give in charity 50% of your income. $500 you should give in charity. And 25% you should spend for your family, and 25% as you are a family man, you may have it as bank balance so that in case of emergency you may retire. This is the prestige. Suppose you are earning $1,000 a month, you should give in charity for God's service at 50%, and 25% you should spend for your family dependence, and 25% you may have in a bank balance. The Jagadnath and Tapa means tena. So the students are meant for sacrifice, and the grihasthas, the householders, are meant for giving in charity. And so far that we are concerned, just like sannyasi, we are meant for tapasya, penance. Oh, we should undergo all kinds of difficulties for spreading the knowledge that we have acquired. That is the process of sannyasi. A sannyasi who is in the renounced order of life, his business is acquired knowledge, his experienced knowledge should be distributed to the public. So, according to the varnashram dharma, the brahmachari and the vanaprastha and the sannyas. Now suppose if there are 100% in a society, 25% students, 25% retired life, and 25% sannyas in renounced order of life. Now, out of 100%, 75% they are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. The rest 25% who are grihasthas, they are meant for sacrificing 50% of their income for these 75%. That is the whole program of varnashram dharma. That is a kind of spiritual communism. Spiritual communism. For spiritual advancement of the society, the whole social order is so arranged that 75% of the people, they are engaged in the matter of spiritual advancement of knowledge, and 25% of the population, those who are earning, those who are in a family life, those who have got factories, business and so many things, they should sacrifice 50% of their income for these 75% persons who are engaged in spiritual ministry. That is the whole program of varnashram dharma. Varna and ashram. Varna means the caste system in India. That is called varna. So the caste system which is now going on, that is a vitiated form of caste system. You have heard in the Bhagavad Gita that chatur varnang maya system gunakarma vibhaga. This varna and ashram is also creation of the Supreme Lord Krishna. That is not man-made. How that varnashram is created? Now, guna karma vibhaga. The guna, as I have already told you, that we are being controlled in three qualities or three modes of nature. So, anyone, he must be either under the spell of these three qualities. So, according to the quality and according to the karma, the varnas are. I have several times explained to you. So the varna and the ashram. Ashram means the brahmachari ashram, the grihastha ashram, the vanaprastha ashram and the sannyas ashram. Ashram, this very word, indicates that it is spiritual. And perhaps most of you know that ashram, this very word means that this place, just like temple or church, there are so many buildings on the second avenue. When you see a church or a temple, you at once understand that this building is meant for spiritual understanding. Similarly, when we call ashram means that and it is a function is meant for spiritual realization. So all the four classes of social order, the brahmachari, the grihastha, and the manaprastha, and the sannyas, they are all called ashram. Ashram means they are meant for the spiritual emancipation. The student is also given instruction so that before entering family life, he gets complete instruction of spiritual law. So that when he enters into family life, he is not just like a cat and dog, for sense gratification. They are meant for, although they live with wife and children, they are meant for spiritual emancipation. This is called Asa, Grihastha. So that was there. The whole program was aiming at spiritual emancipation. Nati vidusartha gatim hi Vishnu durashayaji bhirappamanina andha jathandhi vipuniyamana stepi satanta urudamnibaddha. It is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that Prahlad Maharaj, and that is a statement of Prahlad Maharaj, that before his father was very much materialistic. So he was explaining to his father, my dear father, that nothing vidu sartha gati Vishnu. Genuine people, because he was in the materialistic family, his father was a great materialistic. So he is explaining, and he was a great devotee. The son was a great devotee, and the father was a great materialist. And there was a quarrel between father and son. So father questioned, where you have got all this nonsense knowledge of spiritual? So he was explaining, Nate vidu sartha gatim hi Vishnu durashayaji bhirappamanina. My dear father, these people, these materialistic people, that means men of your nature, they do not know what is their self-interest. Everyone is very busy for fulfilling his self-interest. But actually he does not know what is his self-interest. Nothing with this. The self-interest is Vishnu. So go back to Godhead. That is self. Self-realization, self-interest, and so many things. Everything is meant for going back to God. That is self. The Prahlad Maharaj said that because people are very much illusioned by this external energy, the material energy is called external. Because people are deluded by this external, by the glamour of this external energy, they have forgotten that their self-interest is Vishnu or the Supreme Personality. And they are conducting their life, general process of life, in a manner how na andha jathandhi vipuniyamana. Just like one blind man is leading several other blind men. A blind man has become the leader of several other blind. So what benefit is there? If the man is blind, how can he lead? That because blind, why blind? The andha jathandhi vipuniyamana say ishatantra urudamnibaddha. Ishatantra means by the laws of God or by the laws of nature, they are bound up tight hand and feet, and they are trying to get free from the control of the nature. So this struggle for existence is going on. Because they do not know that their self-interest lies in the understanding of his relationship with the Supreme Lord. And that is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhaunam janmanam ante jnanavan maga prapaddati. After many, many births, when a man is actually in full knowledge, he surrenders unto me, the Lord says. That is it. That is the ultimate interest. That is the ultimate knowledge that one should understand his relationship with Vishnu and surrender there. That is, Maunam Janmanam Ante, after many, many births. Janavad, who has actually acquired knowledge, he surrenders unto me, the Lord says. Sa Mahatma Sudurlava. But such a great soul is very rare. The surrender soul A man in Krishna consciousness, a man surrendered to the control of the Supreme Lord is very rare. So these are instructions we get from Vedic literature. And to come to this point, this surrendering process, that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, some Mahatma Sudullam, to understand that the Supreme Lord is everything. Whatever is manifested before us, the different varieties of energies of the Supreme Lord, that is also stated in Vishnu Purana. Ekadesha sthita shagne josna vistarina jatha parasya brahmana shakti sarvedam akilam jagat. The Vishnu Purana says that just like fire is situated in one place and distributes its heat and light and illumination from that place, similarly, whatever we are experiencing in this manifested world, they are different energies of the Brahman, Parasya Brahman, Parasya Parabrahma, that means Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna is the Father. So, whole process is, sacrifice means that we have to reach to that. The whole process of sacrifice, either by yoga system or by jnana system or by observing the rules and regulation of the social system, everything is meant for reaching to that point. What is that? Bhavanam Janmanam Ante Jnanavanam, to surrender unto the Supreme Personality. So, if we are intelligent enough, then we should consider that if I have to do this job after many births, I am getting myself to very much experience. And Lord Krishna says that this is the last point of knowledge. Why not accept it immediately? Why not accept immediately? If I have to come to Krishna at the last stage of mature knowledge and surrender unto Him, then why should I wait for many births? Why should I wait for many births? Let me surrender unto me. Just yesterday night, one of our friends inquired that how long it takes time to have complete Krishna consciousness. So I replied that the Krishna consciousness can take place in a second, and it may not take in thousands of years, because the point is here that after all we have to come to this point that surrender unto Krishna. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudeva means Krishna. Krishna is everything, and therefore I surrender unto Him. Some Mahatma Sudhava, that for a person, a great soul is very rare to be found. Therefore, why not become that great soul immediately by surrender unto Krishna? This is the point. By sacrifice. Sacrifice means you have to come to that point. Now, if that is the point to be achieved at the end, then why not become immediately Jnanavan and surrender unto Krishna? That is my suggestion. Sarvani indriyani karmani prana karmani chapare atma sanyo juvano juhati jnanadipite. Atma sanyo, there are different kinds of penances, that is called atma sanyo. The yogic principle is also another sort of atma sanyo. Drabha jagga stapo jagga yoga jagga statha pare sadhaya jnana jagga jagya samsutaprita. There is drabhamaya jagga. Drabhamaya jagga means giving in charity. That is called drabhamaya jagga. Jnanamaya jagga means to engage oneself into the studies of the Vedas very critically, nicely. That is called Jnanamaya jagga. And those who are controlling the senses, that is called Yogamaya jagga. So there are different kinds of jagga, and according to different types of jagga, there are different types of yogi also. Each one of them is called yogi. So according to the types of jagga, there are different kinds of yogis. Just like we are trying in the process of transcendental loving service. So we are bhakta yogi. We are called yogi in the devotional service. Of course, that bhakta yogi is the topmost yoga. Yoginamapi sarvesham madgata antaratmana saddhavan bhajati yumam samedhutamo mata. And that is stated by the law that there are different kinds of yogis, but the person who is always under the contemplation of me, he is the highest yogi. Therefore, devotion and service, loving devotional service of the 15th law, that is the topmost kind of yogi. We find in every word, in every chapter, in every word of this Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna consciousness which we are trying to culture, that is the highest type of yoga. Apane juvati pranam pranopanam tatha pare pranapana gati niruddhya pranayama purayana apare niyata ahara prana praneshu juvati. This apart, there are breathing control, there are different kinds of air passing within the body and the lower system to control it. That is also another kind of sacrifice. Sarvapede yoga vidya yoga khabita kalmasa yogya systemito bhuja janti brahmasana. Now, what is the purpose of this sacrifice? Now it is concluded here. Sarvopi ete jagga vidya. All these different kinds of jagga, they are meant for diminishing our sinful reaction. Our sinful reaction. Because we are accumulating many sinful reactions in different births. So, if we perform sacrifice, if we perform yoga, that process helps us in diminishing our accumulated and sinful reaction. But so far, this Harinama, Harinama, Harinama is Kevalam. This is the easiest and the most the supreme process, as we have discussed many times, recommends Chetadappana Marjanam. By this, Param Vijayati Sri Krishna Sankirtan, by this performance of Sankirtan, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, immediately the dust from the mind is clear. That is recommended. So, in spite of, it is very easy process, it is the supreme process, it surpasses all kinds of other yoga and yoga system. Nayam loka asti ajaggasya utanya kurusattama. The Lord says that those who are not performing yoga, they cannot be happy even in this world, in this life. And what to speak of next life? Nayam loka, I am this one in which we are at present. That is also become more misery. At the present moment, people are feeling so much painful in the modern existence because this process of yoga has been completely, people are engaged, work hard, earn money and be engaged in sense life. That cannot bring any peace and prosperity to this. We have to perform yoga. That is the natural law. The Lord says, Nayam lokasti ajagga. Those who are not performing, for them, there is no happiness even in this world, even in this life. And kuta anna kurusattama, my dear Arjuna, what to speak of the next life? Evam bahuda jagga vidita brahmanomukhe karmajan viditan sarvani evam jnata vimuktasi sriyana drabhamaya jagnat jnana jagga parantapa sarvam karma akhilam partho jnani parisamappate. Now Krishna is concluding his different types of jagga. He says that sriyana drabhamaya jaggas jnana jagga parantapa. Jnana Jagga means, this is Jnana Jagga, which we are doing here. We are discussing Bhagavad Gita very scrutinizingly and trying to understand every verse is referring to the Vedic reference. As far as our logic and argument goes, so this is called Jnana Jagga. And Drabhamaya Jagga means, just yesterday, day before yesterday we discussed, that in the altar of fire, we have to sacrifice clarified butter, grains, or sometimes animal sacrifice. They are called Brahmaiva. The Krishna says Sriyan Durbama Yajna, that Durbama, that sacrificing goods or other things in the Yajna. From that type of Yajna, Sriyan Durbama Yajna, Jnana Yajna Parama. Jnana Yajna is a philosophical discussion, logical discussion of the aim of life from authorized books like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, with knowledge, Jnanamaya. So why Jnanamaya Yajna is preferred? Sarva karma akhilam pratya jnani parisama. Because after all, we have to acquire that knowledge which will make me a surrendered soul to the Supreme. Bhavanam janmanamante jnanavan prabuddhate. So jnana also means that to understand our position, to understand what is God, to understand what is our relationship with God, to understand why we are in this material world, and the path is clear. You can clearly understand that I am the part and parcel of the Supreme. Therefore, my duty is to render transcendental service to the Supreme. That is the high knowledge. So Krishna advises that Jnanamaya Yajna. So these sacrifices are counted more than when we offer sacrifice of goods in the past. That is clearly. Now, what is the process of this knowledge? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sīvaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Now, if you have to acquire knowledge, then first of all, you have to find out a person who has already seen the light. Tattvadarshina. Tattva means, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tattva is described, English translation is absolute truth. That is called Tattva. Now, Vadanti tattva vidas satyam jadjnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti. Now that absolute truth is known in three different phases. Now what is that? Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. So, a person, we have to, if we really seeking knowledge, then we have to find out a person who is Tattvadarshi, who has understood the absolute truth. Now, the absolute truth is realized in three phases: Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. There are certain Tattvavid, or the knower of the absolute truth, who understands the absolute truth as impersonal Brahma. And there are other knower of the absolute truth who understands the absolute truth as the localized super soul. These are called yogis. And the first mentioned person, they are called jnanis. And there are other tattvavid, or knower of the absolute truth, who knows the absolute truth as Krishna, the Supreme Personality. So, either Brahma or Paramatma or Krishna, the Supreme Personality, there is no difference. The same thing. But according to the capacity of the knower, they are, manifested into different phases. We have several times discussed this point, just like to understand the sun. Somebody is studying the sun ray, he is also studying sun, and somebody is studying what is the sun disk, so he is also studying sun, and somebody is trying to enter into the sun planet to see who is there. Everything is the sun, but the person who are studying the sun sign, their grade is lower than the person who is trying to understand the sun disk, and their position is lower grade than the person who wants to enter into this. So these bhaktas, they are trying to see the sun God within the sun, just like they want to see Krishna. In the Upanishad you find there is a prayer that Brahma is prayed, did you kindly push off your glaring, dazzling hair so that I can really see you. So within the Brahma Jyoti there is Krishna. So we have to see that. So anyway, either the Brahmavadi or Paramatmavadi or the Bhakta, they are all tattvavid. They are all transcendentalists. There is no difference. But as there are three classes in every sphere, so there are three classes in the transcendental field also. So here Bhagavad Gita, the Lord recommends the Jnanina Tattvadarshina. You have to find out a person who is Tattvadarshi, who has realized the absolute truth, either in Brahma conception or in Paramatma conception or in personality of God itself. Because we have got different tastes. So the Paramatma or the Supreme Absolute Truth is also manifested in three phases: Brahma, Paramatma, Bhava. So anyway, either you select the impersonal Brahma conception of the Absolute Truth, either you select the localized Supreme Soul, Super Soul conception of the Absolute Truth, or you accept the highest, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Matta paratara namnatasti pinchidasti dhananjaya. The Lord says that this is the last phase of Absolute Truth, what I have, Krishna. So anyway, we have to, if we want Jnana, because the Jnanamaya Yoga is recommended the highest Yoga. So if we actually want Jnana, then we have to first of all find out a person who is Tattvadarshi. Just like if you have to purchase gold, you must know where gold is available. And if you go for purchasing gold to a grocer's shop, then it is hopeless. It is not possible. Then you will be cheated. So at least you have to find out the person who has, that can be found, just like by culture. That is called sacrifice. Jnana. If you are actually in search of knowledge, Krishna will help you. And because he is helping you in every way. Ishvara. Sadvasya chaham hridisannavishta. This we have discussed this morning. He is always with you. So he understands what kind of knowledge you are in search after. So we must be sincere. That we want that know. We want to know that absolute truth. Then we'll find out. Krishna will help you. If you want a Brahmavadi, he will help you. If you want a Paramatmavadi, then he will help you. And if you want a devotee, that also help. In the Gītopaniṣad also, it is said that Tad-vijñānārtham gurumeva abhiracchit. If you want to understand the transcendental side, then you have to approach to a spiritual master. Who is spiritual master? Oh, nowadays everyone wants to be spiritual master. Oh, that is also mentioned. Who is spiritual? Samittani srotriyam brahmanishtam. You have to approach a spiritual master who is srotriyam and brahmanishtam. Srotriyam means who has come down from the disciplic succession from the Supreme. Just like in the beginning of the 4th chapter, Evam parampara prapanam Raja says, there is a parampara, there is disciplic succession. So one is coming into that disciplic succession. And by coming from that disciplic succession, he is firmly convinced in the absolute. He is firmly conversant in the absolute truth. He is good. Two qualifications. He must come from that disciplic succession and he must be convinced. Nobody can deviate him from the conviction of the absolute. Any kind. These two qualifications. Tad-viddhi-pranipātena paripuṣne. The Gītopaniṣad said, Tad-vijñānārtham gurumeva abhigacchēt. This is a Sanskrit grammatical injection. When there is a question of imperative, you must, they are beginning, this form of verb is used, gacchēt. That you must go. You don't think that without going to a qualified, bona fide spiritual master you can have. No, that is not possible. Here also, Lord Krishna also recommends, Tad-viddhi pranipātena paripuṣnena seva. If you want to learn the transcendental science, then you have to find out a transcendentalist first of all. That is also recommended in Gītopaniṣad. In Bhagavad also, it is said, Tasmāt gurum prapaddeta jignāsu se hutam. One who is hankering after first type of question. What is going on in China, going on these questions, not these questions. Sre hutam. One who has become inquisitive in the uttamam. Uttamam means udgata tama. There is not any question pertaining to the material world. One who is eager to question about the absolute truth of the spiritual world. Who is recommended to find out a spiritual master? Tasmat Brahma Jignasu. Jignasu means who is inquisitive. What kind of inquisitive? Jignasu se uttama. What is the ultimate goal of my life? If you have no such view to inquire what is the ultimate goal of your life, you need not require to search out spiritual master. Spiritual master is not a so what. So many people, they have got a spiritual master. Or let me have also some spiritual master. It is not like that. It is one as a jignasu. One must be very much inquisitive of the transcendental subject now. He requires a spiritual. So here also, Lord says, the tadvidhi, if you want to understand the transcendental subject matter, then you must approach a first, a bona fide spiritual master. And the process is pranipāt, tena. Pranipāt means full surrender. Pra means prakrishta rupena, fully. And nipāt means completely becoming a blank slate. Nobody should approach a bona fide spiritual master just to argue with him and just with a desire that I shall see what kind of spiritual master. No, this is useless. You have to select a spiritual master. My spiritual master used to say that you have to select a spiritual master not by seeing but by your ear, but by hearing. Don't select a spiritual master who has got a very good hair or beard or some very beautiful feature. Oh, he's very good, nice looking. No, you must hear. Tadvidhi pranipātena. Stuti, the whole process is stuti. The Vedas are called stuti. And here has the oral reception. So here also the same thing recommended by Lord Krishna, that pranipātena. First of all, you have to find out a bona fide spiritual master, and then you should surrender unto him. This is the first process. Pranipātena pariprasna. Pariprasna means sincere inquiries. Not only surrender, you must be intelligent enough to inquire. Not that, and there is no question. No, there must be some question. Pariprasnena and seva. So, surrender, inquiry, and seva, service. We sing this song every day. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasada, yasya prasadat nagati kutopi, dhayam stumam tasya jasasti sannam, bandi gurasi charanarvam. Yasya, if we actually find a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, and if we can make him satisfied by my service, then my path for realization of God is there. First of all, we have to find out a bona fide spiritual master. Then, by my service, by my surrender, by my question, if we utilize, then my path for back to Godhead, back to home is guaranteed. That is the very important part. Tadvidhi pranipātena pariprasna sivaya upadakshanti te jnanam. That knowledge by which you can go to the point of your self-interest, Vishnu, that knowledge you can realize.